Welcome to Lone Star Politics right here on 91.7 KVRX. I'm the Doctor of Politics, Dr. Love, and I am so thankful to be here with you today in my new time slot. This semester it's going to be every Wednesday from 8 to 9 p.m. We're going to be talking about the issues that affect your life right here at the local level. We're talking city council, we're talking county commissioner elections, we're talking your state representatives, and of course we're going to be talking a little bit about the federal government because this year is a big election. It is Obama versus Romney. But let's be real here. Does it really matter? Yes, elections matter. But this dichotomy of Republicans and Democrats is just a false dichotomy. One started the war, George W. Bush, and then Obama escalated the war. Do those sound like two fighting parties to you? So even if Romney were to get elected, I really doubt there would be that much change at all. Neither one of them is talking about legalizing marijuana or medical marijuana, which is something that 70% of Texans want. That's right. In the conservative state of Texas, 70% of Texans want medical marijuana, and yet neither presidential candidate is talking about that. What is wrong here? It is all a deception, this two-party system. It is the same people backing both parties. You got the big banks, you got JP Morgan Chase, you got Bank of America, you got the investment banks, you got them giving money to both parties because they know that either party is going to do what they want them to do, which is keep things the same, which is continue to deny you the right to decide what goes into your body, to continue to deny you access to safe painkillers and appetite stimulants. And here we are, the first day of school. I'm so glad to be back. I hope you all had a wonderful summer. My summer was a really eye-opening spiritual experience, which I'm really looking forward to sharing with you. I'll tell you, I just got out of a month-long study. I actually sold my body to science for 30 days, and I just got out today. I was locked inside a facility in Austin, and they basically gave me heroin for a month and wanted to see what effect it would have on my body. It wasn't exactly heroin, it was an opiate derivative, but it works on the same receptors in the brain, and it was really quite interesting. And so now I have a couple $1,000s that I can spend on real heroin, so that'll be a good time as well. But while I was in there, in this study for 30 days, basically you have tons of time to yourself. You can do whatever it is you want with your time. You can watch movies, you can watch TV, which I don't recommend because I think TV just makes us dumb. But movies are created artistically and have, I think, a fair amount of value to them. You can read books, you can surf the internet, you can sit and meditate. And I primarily filled my days with reading, meditation, and prayer. And I'll tell you, I feel like a completely different person coming out this way. I went in there with the goal of spiritual enlightenment, of really getting to know myself and getting to know God, and figuring out what it is that I'm on this planet to do. What is my purpose? And this is something that we all struggle with. When you ask someone on the street, what do you do? They'll say, I'm a car mechanic, or I'm a waiter, or I'm a professor, or I'm a dentist. You say, well, what is it you were put on this earth to do? Maybe 1 out of 20 will say, I was put on this earth to do blank, and I'm doing blank right now. It's very sad that this isn't taught in school. Really, I think the first class we should have at the University of Texas, in fact, should be, what do you want to do with your life? Let's think about this and just get that process rolling so you can start working towards that. Did President Obama always know that he wanted to be president? Maybe. And it takes that sort of dedication, years and years and years, to accomplish these things. Steve Jobs, who at 21 started Apple, he knew what he wanted to do. He knew he wanted to work in electronics and innovation. At a very young age, he knew that he wanted to have a big part in changing the world. And he always had an artistic flair and a desire for simplicity. And he took that and then ended up changing the world with his technology and his computers and his innovations in phones and tablets and all kinds of things. So this idea of knowing your purpose in life, knowing what you're meant to do, is really important if every individual is going to use their God-given talents and do what it is they're meant to do on this planet and share their gifts with the world and have a really positive impact on society. So I invite you, listener, to ponder for just a moment, what is it that you are meant to do on this planet? Why did God create you? And what do you want to do with your life? Now, a great starting point is, what do you enjoy doing? For me, I really enjoy reading. I really enjoy learning, and I love talking to people and sharing information. That is something that gives me great pleasure, and I really love to do that. Perhaps that's why I've been in school all these years. I'm about to turn 30 in about a week, and I've been in school basically my entire life. So that's what I love to do. The other question is, what are you good at? Now, I'd like to think that I'm pretty good at reading and learning and sharing information. I've been doing it for a long time, and I think I'm pretty solid at it. So what I love to do and what I'm good at, those pretty much mesh. So ask yourself, what do you love to do aside from video games and television and sleep? And what are you good at? And find a way to do those two things and get paid for it. Because that is what you are meant to do on this planet. Not everyone's meant to be rich, and you don't have to seek for a profession that makes you rich. Rather, seek a profession or seek a calling on this earth that fulfills you and that utilizes your God-given talents and abilities and allows you to do something that you are passionate about that you can share with the world. You know, a chef is someone who's really passionate about food. And a baker, in reality, is someone who's passionate about chemistry, because the way you bake is very scientific. Architects and artists and designers of all different types, from clothes to technology to engineering, these people use their skills and use their creativity to make wonderful things. And we need designers of all kinds, especially with the death of Steve Jobs. We need people who are creative and who have a desire to make wonderful things, to make wonderful products in all different niches of society, be it making wonderful roads, wonderful computers, wonderful microphones. So I invite you to explore, especially at the beginning of the school year, think in your mind, what do I like, what do I love to do, and what am I good at? And then use that to think of what you want to do for the rest of your life. And if you can do that, especially as an undergrad, you will be well ahead of your peers. And then you can tailor your education to get you the skills that you need to pursue that passion of yours. And you can really make a difference in this world. And you won't spend the years after college kind of wandering around figuring out what you want to do. After I graduated college, I spent a year as a waiter in San Diego, California, and a bartender, and I went to culinary school then, and I explored my interest in food, and I had a great time there. I was passionate about food, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun, but I knew I didn't want to be a chef my whole life. It was more kind of a fun detour. After that, I went to Las Vegas for a year, and I was a bartender there. That was just plain old fun. And Vegas really kind of, it changed me in I think, a negative way, in that I was very dishonest when I was there. I couldn't be myself. I was very afraid of opening up to people, especially strangers who I did not trust. It's very difficult to trust someone in an environment like Las Vegas, and as a result, I didn't share who I was with other people there that I met, or people that I worked with even. And then I came to the University of Texas to study psychology here. So it took me, and then even then, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I liked studying psychology, but I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And here I am, years later, even honing more specifically what I want to do. More just than study psychology, I want to, study individuals and how they relate to each other. How can we be happy as individuals? What are the ingredients to happiness in this life? And it's not money, and it's not just simply marriage or having children or having professional success. It's a combination of things. And studying this and sharing this with others is something that I'm very passionate about, that I want to do with my life. And it took me a long time to get here. So I invite you to really consider this for yourself, because nothing is going to be more important to your happiness in life then considering how you want to spend your time. Do you want to spend it? Do you want to spend it bartending and getting to know local people and having fun behind the bar? Do you want to spend it in the kitchen cooking people great food? Do you want to spend it in a laboratory discovering the cure for cancer or mixing up the next vitamin supplement in a laboratory? Do you want to be working with your hands, building houses, working construction, plumbing, electricity? There's many things that we can do to live a happy, fulfilled life, and it's important to think about these things. And the more we think about them, the more likely we are to stumble upon what it is we're meant to do on this planet. And I think a lot of what makes us happy is a spiritual connection to God, and that's kind of what I explored this last month of the summer. Now, if you're waiting for the political connection, it's all over the place. Certainly in Romney's camp, he's always talking about God. And what's really interesting about Romney is that he's a Mormon. A lot of us aren't that familiar with the Mormon religion, the Latter-day Saints, but their religion is quite complex in that they have a variety of beliefs that most Americans do not share, whether you're regardless of what religion you are. They kind of have some interesting beliefs regarding spirits. They kind of believe in multiple spirits, almost like multiple gods. They believe in a creator God. They believe in Jesus, but they also believe in Joseph Smith. They believe that they put him on the same level as Jesus, which Christians around this country certainly don't. And Christians make up about 80% of Americans. So it's important to consider how they feel about that. And it's been very interesting that Romney presents himself as a family values person, but his specific religion is not really brought up, which is quite interesting, because I feel like, right or wrong, and I'll weigh in on this later, people are going to be affected by the fact that he is a Mormon. When John F. Kennedy ran in the 60s, he was the first Catholic to really have a shot at the White House. And it was a really big deal then. And Catholics make up about 25% of the American population. And it was a huge deal then. And now, Obama is the first black president, well, really half black president, but, really that was a huge deal to get him elected in 2008, breaking the racial barrier. And now we're talking about potentially breaking another barrier, which is getting, a Mormon elected. So this past month, I spent in a research facility taking heroin, getting paid quite handsomely for it. And I did a lot of spiritual reading. I first started out reading about the creation of the world. Really, the world that surrounds us. Nature. Nature undoubtedly was created by God. Whether you believe in evolution or creationism or intelligent design, however it works, something created the earth. Some energy force created the earth. And I think we can all agree that that divine energy is God, however you want to define God, a creator, a divine spirit that utilized its energy to create the beautiful earth that we have right now. And sadly, we've kind of lost our connection to the earth. And I think this is one of the reasons why we have trouble relating to each other. Because we're in such unnatural environments that we lose touch with our humanity. God created this planet, and He intended for us to live in nature. That is, I would say nature is God's temple. Nature is God's creation. Not homes, not churches created by man, but the temple of God, the creation of God. Plants and animals that cover the earth. The beautiful lakes and rivers, the oak trees, the maples, the sassafras, the fox, the weasel, the raccoon. These animals and plants are our brothers and sisters in creation. Just as the Creator made us and sculpted us, and Christians believe in God's image, but you don't have to believe that God made human beings. And if you believe that, certainly God made the fox. And God made the maple tree. And so this divine energy courses through all of our veins. And therefore, we really need to value all life on earth, Not just human life, certainly value human life, but also value animal life. Now, I'm not an animal rights activist. I believe that it's perfectly fine for humans to kill animals if it's done in a sensible way to provide sustenance for us to live. Human beings must eat other plants or animals to survive, and that's perfectly fine, in my opinion. But the problem is we are so detached from our food source that we don't recognize the gift of that animal when we eat it. When I eat a steak, I don't see a cow. I don't think a cow gave its life so that I could eat the steak and that I could get nourishment and I could live. We're not thankful for that. We lose our gratitude for our food because we're so disconnected from it, because we don't have to work for it. We just pay for it. For example, if you were living in the woods and you had to kill a deer with a bow and arrow that you fashioned with your own hands, with hours and hours and hours of labor, and you stalk this deer for hours in the woods, making sure you're always downwind, and so that the deer never smells you, and you finally get really close, and you're covered in mud, so you're camouflage, and you sneak up as close as you can, and you pull that bowstring taut, and you let your arrow go, and you strike the deer, and it falls down. You have incredible respect and love for that deer. And then you would pay homage to the Creator and to the deer for giving up its life so that you can live and so that you can feed and clothe your family with that deer meat and all the parts of that deer. That is honoring God's creation. That is honoring what the way of life that God created for us, which is kind of the hunter-gatherer sense, where we really have this involvement with the earth and this understanding of the great value of plants and animals. But today we're so detached from our food and even how we get our water that we're really not thankful for anything. Now I'm going to take a short break, but I'd like you to think about this. What are you thankful for? And what do you thank God or whatever, whoever you give thanks to for the things in your life, be it your parents, food, your education, whatever. What are you thankful for? What are you grateful for in your life? Because gratitude is really important as far as mental health. If you are not thankful or grateful for anything in your life, you are on the path to path to depression, anxiety, all kinds of unhealthy mental issues there, because we need to be grateful for what's around us to really experience joy and happiness. So two things to think about. Number one, what are you passionate about? What do you love to do with your time? What were you created to do? And secondly, what are you good at? What skills do you have, and what knowledge, specific knowledge do you have that allows you to do things that other people can't do nearly as well as you? And how can you put those two things together to earn a living and contribute to society? And the second thing is, what are you grateful for? What are you so thankful for every day that you're just happy to be alive? Is it the sun that gives us energy, that nourishes the plants and gives us vitamin D to live? Are you thankful for Town Lake and the beauty of Town Lake and the plants and animals around that? What are you grateful for in your life? Think about that, and I'll be back in a bit. You're listening to Lone Star Politics right here on KVRX 91.7. And frankly, I'm thankful for my mind and my body and my ability to think and to live. So many people have disabilities of the mind and of the body and really of the spirit. And I'm so blessed to be healthy in all of these ways, and to be able to navigate the world on my own 2 feet, to be able to read and think for myself, and to have a spiritual connection not only with God but also with the earth and with other human beings. And that is what I'm most thankful for. Now, during the commercial break, somebody called in and just wanted to share what she was thankful for. And thank you, Casey, for calling in. And Casey just said she's just thankful to be alive and well. And I think that's absolutely right. I think I was reading Steve Jobs' biography, which is a great biography, by the way, to get into his mind and see what made him tick. And his doctor said, if you are healthy and able to stand erect, you are well on your way. And I think that's absolutely right. We really take for granted our health in this country, especially as young people. I'm almost 30. Most of you college listeners, you're in your late teens, early 20s. Those around Austin. Austin's a very young city, so probably aren't that many listeners over 50 who are facing those health problems. But our health is such an important part of our lives. We really take it for granted, especially considering the things that we pollute our body with, be it drugs or alcohol. And I think it's your right to do that. You can put in your body whatever you want. It is your body. But the things we do to our body, and then the fatty foods, the sugar, my goodness. I read a book when I was in my heroin study about sugar and how it destroys the immune system and how it causes all kinds of different diseases. It's amazing. And we treat our bodies so poorly, and we're just so ungrateful for our ability to have good health. So I invite you to consider how fortunate you are to be able to wake up every day free of pain, if indeed you wake up without pain, that you're able to get out of bed and use the bathroom on your own, that you're able to walk to campus. We have a lot of students who have disabilities and who have to get special services to get into campus. So if you can walk, that's just such a blessing that you can get around on your own. So there's really so many things to be grateful for. So while I was doing my heroin study this summer, if you're just tuning in, I spent the last 30 days in a medical facility taking an opiate derivative. It wasn't quite heroin, but it was close. And I spent that time inside this research facility doing some reading about not only, I didn't not only read the Steve Jobs book, but I also read, this book on sugar and the damages that sugar does to us, which are absolutely incredible. But also things about spirituality, particularly the spirituality of the earth. In June, I went to a wilderness survival camp. It was put on by Tom Brown, who's also written a bunch of books about the spirit of the earth and his adventure as a tracker. He's the greatest tracker on earth, meaning if you lost your child in the woods, the FBI would call him and he would find your child's footprints in the mud or dirt, or even he would look where your child was last seen and try to find the track and find the trail and find your child. That's what he would do. And he's led a really interesting life. He was trained by an Apache Indian when he was 10 years old, and from the time he was 8 until the time he was 18, he was trained by an Apache Indian to live kind of the ways of the Native American, and which is really in touch with the soul of the earth, really the essence of creation, not just Our spirituality today is so centered on man and what is good for man. And indeed, it is important to care about other humans. Humans are our brothers and sisters on this planet. Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green Party, Christian, Muslim, Jew, atheist, non-believer. It doesn't matter. We're all brothers and sisters on this planet. And that's an important thing to acknowledge and to treat each other as such and to love each other as brothers and sisters. But aside from that, we need to really establish a connection with the earth, because we are all children of the earth. Everything we put into our bodies is from the earth. The air we breathe, the water we drink. This is all from the earth. The only thing not from the earth really is the sun. And the sun is so critical to our existence. It shines down energy on every plant and animal that we need in order to subsist. Without the sun, life would not exist on earth. So I asked what you're grateful for, and I think a lot of us pray before we eat. Praying grace is something that I think a fair amount of Americans do, or at least they pretend to do it on television and so forth. So I've spent most of my life in a Catholic household. We've always said grace, and we always said the same prayer, which I think is kind of silly, because you're kind of just reciting something. You're just performing a ritual rather than thinking and then thanking from your heart. It's easy to say, rub-a-dub-dub, thanks for the grub, but that really doesn't strike any emotional chords in you. If you say, God, thank you for this lamb that gave up its life so that I could enjoy this delicious lamb chop and enjoy this protein and nourish my muscles and my bones with this so that I can live an energetic day tomorrow and work on building this house or designing this railroad or going to class. That prayer then has meaning, because it really takes into account what happened and the fact that one of God's creatures, a lamb in this case, gave up its life so that you could live. So I want to ask you, when was the last time you were thankful or said a prayer for water? At the survival camp, I learned really how precious water is, because this was deep in the forest and we had to go find our own water. And when you find water, you are so grateful. Water is such a cheap commodity and it is so easy to access. And it's so sad that we've lost connection with the idea of hunting for our water and finding it and really valuing it, because water is so critical to our life. You can't survive without water, and neither can any plant or animal on this planet. Yet, when was the last time that you, right before you took your drink of water, you said thanks to your Creator, or you just felt this feeling of gratitude, like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful we ran into a water fountain, this is wonderful, that you felt this sense of gratitude for access to water. And we are so fortunate here in the United States that we have access to clean food and clean water pretty much everywhere. Go to the Sahara Desert, go to Africa, and you'll see that access to clean food and water is not that easy all the time. Desert people are very thankful when they find water. They understand that water isn't everywhere. And sadly, in the United States, the way we're going, the way that we're polluting the earth and we're polluting the air, and the way we're polluting the water, clean water is not available everywhere. I was just down at Lady Bird Lake, or I'd like to say Lake Austin. I don't think Lake Austin should be named after Lady Bird Johnson. But I was just down there with a dear friend of mine who I actually met in my heroin study. She was not taking heroin, she was taking another drug. But we were down there and we put our feet into the water, and it felt so good. And I thought, would I drink this water? And in all honesty, I don't think the water there is clean. 100 years ago it might have been clean, but I don't think it's clean right now. We are destroying the earth, which we have to rely on for all of our necessities. There's not one thing that we don't rely on the earth for, aside from the sun for our light and our energy. And the idea that we think, and the Republicans and Democrats are both guilty of this, the idea that we think we can pollute the water and the air and the earth with no consequence in sight. We say, oh, well, there's tons of water in the ocean. We can dump our garbage out there. That's so short-sighted. It's ridiculous. It's very childish and immature to think that way. What we're doing today is we are robbing our children, our grandchildren, to feed our children. We are stealing from the next generation to feed the current generation. And it is wrong, and it is immature, and it is short-sighted, and it's going to kill us. We need to take action to defend the earth and protect especially the air, but also the water and the earth. But consider the air. The air is something we all breathe. Plants, animals, humans, we all share the air. What right do human beings have to pollute the air and ruin the breathing rights of everybody? And not even just human beings, it's specific companies that pollute the air. For example, in Austin, there's this company called Pure Castings. And I was down at City Council, and a woman came in, and she was talking about Pure Castings, because it was being discussed at that point. And she said, when I lived next to Pure Castings, I had asthma, and my children had terrible asthma. When I moved away from Pure Castings, our symptoms went away. So there is a company in Austin that is producing something, and they are emitting pollution into the air that is harming those around them, and it's harming our entire ecosystem. Now, I want to ask you if you think that's right. Do you think it's okay for a company to harm those who live around their manufacturing facility? And is it right for corporations or small businesses to pollute the earth, be it the water that we drink, or the air that we breathe, or the soil that we use to grow our crops? And if you don't think it's right, what can we do to help protect the earth? Politics isn't going to do it, as it stands right now. The two-party system is not working to help defend the earth in any way. And regardless of your political or religious beliefs, we need to save the earth if we are going to continue to live on the earth. If you have another place to live, let me know, and I'll pack a bag and check it out. But I love the earth, and I think the earth is absolutely beautiful, and we need to do everything we can to protect it from short-sightedness. And polluting the air today to make a buck and not doing anything to preserve it for tomorrow is really, really dangerous, and it's going to get us killed. And it's really sad that nobody is talking about it. President Obama is not saying Romney's a Republican, he's going to be friendly to big business, who's going to pollute the air. No, because Obama's done nothing to protect the environment. There was one environmental bill which was actually terrible for the environment, the cap and trade bill. Now this is a bill that was going to tax carbon. Now I want to tell you, listener, I love the earth, and carbon dioxide is not a pollutant. They say it warms the earth. That's baloney, number one. Number two, it is so slight, human beings are not causing global warming. The earth is not getting so hot the ice caps are going to melt and the earth is going to flood. That's not going to happen. The earth was much harder in its history before human beings. Explain that, global warming people. The temperature of the earth fluctuates based upon a variety of things. A lot of it has to do with the distance to the sun. We are not always the same distance to the sun. Our earth wobbles on its axis, and so we are close to the sun and hotter sun at closer sun and farther away from the sun at different times. And the sun gets hotter and colder. The sun has sunspots that get hotter and send more energy to the earth. And so this idea that man is changing the temperature of the earth is silly. And it's distracting us from the real issue, which is pollution, local pollution. I'm talking pollution in Austin. I'm talking pollution downtown, miles away from here. It is uninhabitable if you want to breathe clean air. You cannot live near pure castings and take a deep lungful of clean air. People living there are getting asthma. This is wrong, and it's happening right in our backyard, and nobody's doing anything about it, including myself up to this point. I haven't picketed pure castings, and I'm just as guilty as the next, perhaps even more guilty because I know about it. But this is something that we need to spearhead as a community, as a solid community, not as one disjointed by political parties where we're powerless and then we pit one against the other. We need to stand up as a species and say, hey, the earth was given to all living creatures. First of all, the earth was given to all humans. And so what right does one human have to destroy it when we all need to share it? Number two, what right do human beings have to destroy the earth when it's also inhabited by plants and animals? So this is something that goes beyond politics, that is outside the spectrum of what's being discussed right now in the political realm, and it supersedes it because it affects all humanity. And I hope and pray that you too get to spend some time outside this week and really just value God's wondrous creation. Just pick a leaf off of an oak tree and just look at it for a moment. Look at the colors, feel the textures. Look at how the parts of the leaf kind of branch out into an intricate, complex web that sends nutrients back and forth of the leaf and collects energy from the sun, then sends that to the trunk of the tree. Just look at a leaf for a moment and admire it. It's amazing, the beauty and the intricacy that is right there. It's right in front of us all the time, and we never notice it. And we are destroying innocent plants and animals all the time with our negligent behavior. Most people just stick their head in the sand about pollution in the environment these days. We're more concerned about the economy, and the economy has very much to do with it. If the economy is doing well, usually we emit less pollution. For example, if you look at countries, it's the countries that are very poor that are the dirtiest. Go to India or China, terrible pollution. It makes the United States look extremely clean. So that's why it's important for us to have a robust economy, so that we can have, we can be responsible with the environment, because then we have the resources to take care of these things when people are employed. When people are unemployed, that's when we live these polluting, unhealthy lifestyles that's really damaging to the environment. So the economy is very important that we get that rolling on track. And neither candidate, Obama or Romney, has a solution. Obama says we need more regulation, and Romney says we need less regulation. The reality is the government needs to butt out. I mean, the government needs to get out of business. they need to let businesses make decisions that are best for them and allow them to compete. Now, competition is really important because previously the government bailed out industries that were failing. Banks, for example, investment banks, depository banks, the Federal Reserve rescued them. The auto industry, these are businesses that should have failed in competition. And we bailed them out. And that is not what this country is about. This country is about entrepreneurism. It's about doing something you're passionate about, something you're good at, and making a contribution with those talents and those abilities. And if we start using government funds to sponsor businesses, that's just wrong. That's unfair competition. And neither Romney or Obama is talking about that. They both want the status quo, which is giving money to their big donors. Who are their big donors? The people that are getting funds from the government to do business, when in reality they should be competing. So, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Lone Star Politics right here on KVRX 91.7. I'm the Doctor of Politics, Dr. Love, and I'm fresh out of my medical study where I was dosed with a heroin derivative for 30 days, and my heart rate was monitored, and my blood was taken, and they wanted to assess what it was doing to my body. And at this time, I filled my mind and I nourished my spirit with religious readings and with meditation, with frequent Bible readings, prayer, and we had a Bible study group in there. And I've emerged 30 days later a very different man. And I was talking about the connection with the earth, and how I was reading these books from Tom Brown, who runs a survival camp, and in New Jersey, in the Pine Barrens, of New Jersey, and how he discussed how every living creature indeed has a spirit, because we're all created by the same Creator. And I've really been feeling that spirit today as I've been out and about in Austin. I was locked inside, completely indoors for 30 days, and this is my first day out, and my goodness, we live in such a beautiful city. Austin is tremendous. It is so lovely. I have a dear friend of mine who's visiting me from San Antonio, and she was remarking how green Austin is and how beautiful it is, and how people are outside enjoying the outdoors. So I encourage you. I know school just started. You're probably trying to figure out what classes you want. And if you're listening at the top of the hour, you're probably considering what it is you're meant to do with your life. But amidst all this, take some time out and go outside and just enjoy the outdoors. Study the oak leaf. Go and look at Town Lake and just be there and kind of meditate there and just breathe in and experience and feel the energy of the life around you, because that scenario, surrounded by the creatures of the earth, both the plants and the animals, that is our natural environment. That's where we feel most at home, and that's when you can really connect with the spirit of the earth and really your own inner spirit, your own inner energy, and get some real insights into your life. I'm a big proponent of meditation. I meditate twice a day, and I started this a couple months ago. It's been one of the best things I've ever done. So I really encourage you to check out meditation if you'd like some inner peace, if you'd like to learn more about yourself, and if you'd like to spend some time with the higher power. In meditation, you can kind of turn off your brain almost and shut out all other senses, eyesight, sound, taste, and even touch, and you kind of turn your body off, just sitting there quietly. And it's just basically you and darkness. And in that darkness, I believe you kind of find the energy, the essence of God, because there's nothing else there. God is all around us. And the energy of the earth, this divine spirit, is all around us all the time. And when you turn off your senses, it's just you and that energy. It's just you and that spirit of the earth. And I encourage you to get in touch with that if inner peace is something that you're seeking. So one of the things that I did when I was in my heroin study was I did a lot of spiritual reading. And I read one book by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it was about basically what we are supposed to be as human beings. We're taught that we're sinful creatures and that we're naturally sinful and that we need to work to overcome that. And in reality, we are perfect beings because we were created by the Creator of the universe. We are created by God, the divine spirit. We were created by this energy essence. And so who are we to criticize God's creation? That's basically what we're doing when we're saying, I'm a failure, I'm ugly, I suck, when you say these things, you know, you're devaluing yourself. You're devaluing, you know, God's creation, and I think that's highly inappropriate. It's ineffective. It's poor use of our time and energy. But it's wrong. It's wrong to say I'm not a perfect creation, because look at us. Look at the things we can do, and you know, look at our thinking capacity compared to other species. It's absolutely phenomenal. So we should never devalue our humanity and the great traits that we were blessed with. So this book by Don Miguel Ruiz taught me to really value myself and other human beings. The other thing it taught us was how natural it is to love somebody. When you look at a baby, I was in Whole Foods today, and there was a baby in a cart. And as I walked by, I tried to get its attention. I waved at her, and then I smiled. And at first she waved, and as I kept smiling, she then smiled back at me. And, you know, one reason that we all love babies, and that we also love dogs and other animals, is that they are emotionally honest. They are emotionally genuine. They have not been raised in a society where we're taught to hide our emotions or try to put on a false persona. Babies are just natural. They are doing what comes to them naturally, and they are, you know, they still have that innocence to them, where they are just doing what they feel is right. And I have no doubt that at that time when I was waving to that baby and smiling, I was thinking, my gosh, I love this baby. And you know, the baby was probably having similar feelings. You know, she was also thinking, I love that other creature right there that's making me smile and happy. And that's how we're supposed to be, literally all the time, with all other beings on this planet. You know, I met a very good friend in this heroin study, and I was with her when I was learning these things. And you know, I got to the point where I could say, you know what, I love you. You know, I feel this human connection with you, and it feels so wonderful to be able to express that to you. Even though I just met you, I just met her. I've known her for a few days, but just in spending time with her and talking to her about these things, I could tell her, listen, I love you. I feel this human connection with you. I feel like you and I, you know, we're brother and sister in humanity. We're both children of God, and you know, I just want to let you know that I love you and I care about you. And you know, it's just a wonderful feeling to be able to feel that for others. And then we had a Bible study group every week, and I share that sentiment with a number of men and a couple of women in there. And you know, in reality, love is free. It costs us nothing to give. It costs me nothing to say, I love you, listener, and I care about you. I don't know you. I maybe have never met you, but you know what? I love you as a fellow brother or sister, as a child of God, as a creature of this earth. I love you. And you know what? That costs me nothing. And you can reject my love or you can accept it. Either way, I'm not hurt. If you reject my love, if you love somebody and they don't care for your love, you are not hurt in any way, because you love yourself and God loves you. As long as you love yourself, nobody can break your heart. If you look in the mirror and you smile and you say, I'm happy, I love myself, I'm a beautiful creature of God, nobody can hurt you. No one can break your heart. And when you understand how much God loves you, there's nothing that anyone can do to take that away from you and can hurt you. And once you take these things into yourself and you really think about them and you meditate on them and incorporate them into your being, into your spirit, you can really open yourself up and you can love freely. You can pass people by on the street and think to yourself, hello, child of God, I love you. Hello, my sister, I love you. Hello, my brother, I love you. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful life. And when you feel this way, people can really feel your energy. They just can sense it. They sense that you're positive and that you're shooting out this positive, loving energy. And that's what we're meant to do all the time. That is us in our natural state. I believe that if we lived kind of as hunter-gatherers, living in the forest as the Native Americans did, really being in touch with our spiritual essence, with the earth and with the animals, and spending time with each other around the campfire every night, we would feel that way about each other because we'd be in our natural environment. It's today when we're surrounded by all of this technology and you know we're so wide with our iPads and our iPhones and our computers and our wireless. You know, we're so detached from the earth and detached from each other So often we text each other rather than calling each other, or we call each other rather than talking to each other face to face. We're so detached in this current environment that we live in that we lose touch with our natural selves, the way we were created to be. The way we were created to be was to love one another freely. It costs nothing to be kind to someone. It costs nothing to pass them on the street and think to yourself, I love you, fellow human being. And you know what? It makes you feel great, and it makes the world a great place. And in my 30 days doing this heroin study and being drugged and poked with needles and having my heart monitored, I came to accept this fact. And I'll tell you, I'm a changed person, and I really hope that you can learn a little bit about this philosophy and consider it, meditate on it, and see if this is something that makes sense for you. Because when we live on an earth, or live in a community, or live in go to a school where we're enlightened and people around you love each other, even though they don't know each other, but they can just respect each other and love each other as fellow human beings, it's really a wonderful place. It's really heaven on earth. And I'm so thankful, and I feel so blessed that I did this. I met the great people that I did in there, that I was exposed to this way of thinking. And I'm thankful that I can share it with you, listener. This idea of just unconditional love for everybody, and this idea that nobody can hurt you because you love yourself and God loves you. This has been just a wonderful, it was a wonderful month for me, and I'm very excited to start school again and to spread the love on campus. Everywhere I go, I just want to send out that positive energy because, I love everybody. There's no reason not to. There's no reason not to love your neighbor. In fact, if you are a Christian, which I believe, most people at the University of Texas are, Jesus commands us. What are the greatest 2 commandments? Number 1, love your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. Commandment number 2, love your neighbor as yourself. Who are your neighbors? In this sophisticated society, people in China are our neighbors. We can talk to them with FaceTime. So really, to love your neighbor is to love everybody. So I encourage you to consider that and meditate on that and see if you can't get to know your neighbor, and even though you don't know them, to kind of just love them as a fellow human being, as a child of God. I'm so glad to be back at school, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to talk with you. You've been listening to Lone Star Politics right here on KVRX 91.7. This is going to be my new time this semester. Thank you to all of our sponsors, Faces in the Mirror, Film.com, Megabus.com, and WootenBarbershop.com. Y'all have been wonderful, and thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you next week. Have a wonderful week, listener, and don't forget, I love you, love yourself, and God loves you too.